So if you saw my Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2 and 3 review, you'd know that this Episode 8 and 9 review for Daredevil Born Again was coming and that it was late, and I told you my reasoning in there, so if you just narrowly only want a reason of why I haven't given you guys Episode 8 and 9's review for Daredevil Born Again yet, you could find that reasoning at the beginning of the Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2 and 3 review video. So honestly, I'm here now reviewing Episode 8 and 9 of Daredevil Born Again, so let's just cut this chunky intro and just start talking about it. So Episode 8, a lot of major things happened in Episode 8. We finally got to really see Ben Poindexter back at it, you know. Some major things happened with his character, like the interaction he had with Matt Murdock towards like the end of the episode, where he's clearly hiding something, and it's clearly the thing that he's hiding is who directed him to kill Foggy Nelson. Because throughout this entire episode, it was basically like Matt figuring out that like he's connecting the dots basically on who might have killed Foggy or who might have called the shot to kill Foggy, you know, and it's revealed at the end of the episode that it was Vanessa Fisk who called the shot. And honestly, I knew I didn't like your character. I knew I didn't like Vanessa from the very beginning, man. But yeah, I felt like that was kind of inevitable because I didn't think it was Fisk who called the shot, but honestly, from the very first episode of the show, I was like, okay, probably Vanessa did it, because Vanessa has like no morals and like doesn't care about any beef, really, and she has a history of calling shots and assassinations on people. Like, for example, in Season 3, she called the shot to have Ray Nadine killed by Ben Poindexter, and like eventually, like later in the series, I was kind of a bit skeptical about if she really called the shot on Foggy, because we all know Ben Poindexter, aka Bullseye, killed Foggy. But in Season 3's finale for Daredevil, Poindexter repeatedly tried to kill Vanessa and Wilson, so it was like so unlikely that they'd team up. But no, this episode explained that perfectly, really, and especially in Episode 9 as well. Those two episodes really established like what happened. Like they had a talk at like the hospital where Vanessa took Poindexter out of like the care and made him go on like the killing spree that he did at the beginning of Season 1 of Daredevil Born Again, you know. So honestly, she seemed like the type to like call the shot on Foggy. But like also another thing that like I want to point out is we finally get to be back in Hell's Kitchen at Josie's bar, you know, and it's sad like anytime we hear the name Foggy, like, oh, he never got to finish his shots or finish the bottle that he was drinking that night because he knew he was gonna win the case the next day. And that also like is another major thing. Like Foggy knew he was gonna win the case the next day, so basically Vanessa's purpose was to silence Foggy, and that is also revealed in Episode 8. And honestly, it's a shocking reveal, man. Like my jaw was to the ground when they finally said the words basically that she called the shot on Foggy when Matt and Vanessa are slow dancing at the party that Fisk held, you know. And of course we have other like major things happening too, like Commissioner Gallo, I almost said Officer Gallo, no, Commissioner Gallo talking with Ben Urich's niece, BB Urich, and like saying, oh, did you know that Wilson Fisk is like the key suspect in your uncle's murder? And she's like, yeah, I know, but like she's still like working. And of course Gallo manages to kind of get BB Urich on his side, you know, and he does that with also basically Fisk's manager, you know, like he's trying to turn these people against Fisk, and that does lead to a brutal end for Commissioner Gallo, but we'll get to that when we actually start reviewing Episode 9. But as for Episode 8, really nothing fully major happened besides that big reveal, and besides that, nothing happened till the end of the episode, where at the very end, Bullseye does find where Fisk's party is. But like, I want to definitely talk about how Poindexter got to where he got, because man, oh man, it's such a badass moment in the show, and just like one of the most badass moments in the entire Marvel universe in general, really. So he's like getting cleaned up because during his talk with Matt got frustrated and like actually slammed his head repeatedly. Like he slammed Poindexter's head repeatedly into the metal table, and he's like, oh, he self-harmed himself, so he gets taken away and to treatment, like he gets taken away, stitched up and stuff. But while he's getting stitched up, you could hear like a crack, but he also tilts his head, so I'm like, oh, that's like a nasty crack that he had because of like he got repeatedly smacked against the table with his head basically. So I was like, oh, it's just like readjusting his head. No, that was like him cracking a tooth, like a loose tooth that was caused by the damage from the table, and that's probably why he said thank you to Matt at the like end of their scene together. And like you could see like the guy look up and like, what the hell was that? And then he smiles and you could see like the missing tooth and his broken tooth just laying there in his mouth, just like, haha, I got you, bitch, I'm gonna shoot this at you. And then he does, and it goes right into the guy's eye. That is like the most creative yet crazy yet shocking moment of the entire Marvel universe right there, because bro, it was crazy. You know, I'm not saying it's like Captain America picking up Mjolnir level of excitement, but it's definitely a very crazy scene. You know, the fact that he's willing to go that far, and he shoots the tooth in his eye in the doctor's eye, and just like goes on a killing spree. And that is what leads to his escape, and of course where we are at the end of the episode, where he fires a shot at Fisk, but in a shocking turn of events, Matt jumps in front of the bullet and takes it, and he's like bleeding out. Like, yo, it's a shoulder wound. Like, why are you bleeding as much as Foggy did when he got shot in the freaking stomach? Like, you're not gonna die. Like, what the hell? Like, it was very crazy. But yeah, that's really how it ended, like how episode 8 ended. A really good episode right there, you know, and it was a very shocking, very moving story-wise episode, and it was just so well done, really. But now, moving on to what I thought about the season 1 finale, episode 9. So, episode 9 brings back the Punisher all shaved and clean in his attire, or regular attire, because Matt does escape the hospital before Wilson Fisk's assistant could assassinate him. And we could tell, like, when we finally see Jon Bernthal's the Punisher again, he's like basically taking orders from somebody. And we'll get to that somebody in a second, but yeah, like honestly, the chemistry between the Punisher and Matt Murdock, the chemistry between Jon Bernthal and Charlie Cox is so amazing, and like they're a perfect duo on screen, really, because they make so many jokes. Like when Daredevil's walking away in his hospital gown, he's like, we gotta get moving, or somebody's here, and like Frank responds with, does that have anything to do with your ass hanging out? And like Matt just nonchalantly walks away and puts up the middle finger. It's a hilarious scene, and like literally at the beginning of their scene together, the first lines of dialogue that the Punisher has is like, there's a power outage and you're all by yourself, yet you don't have anything to make a damn pot of coffee in here. What's up with that? Like, it's so funny. And then Matt comes back with like a line something like, not everybody lives in like a shelter, Frank. And it was just such a funny back and forth, really. And honestly, these two moments aren't their only funny moments, you know? Like, after a very awesome battle with like both Matt Murdock and the Punisher suiting up, we get to see that classic Punisher vest. It was a really cool scene, you know? And none of them were holding back, you know? Matt clearly doing what he always does, just knocking out his opponents, while the Punisher just brutally takes down everybody that he comes into contact with. And like towards the end, they actually find who killed Hector Ayala. Like, we all know Hector was shot in the head at the end of episode 3, and as the guy was walking away, we saw a Punisher vest. And of course, it wasn't the Punisher himself. It was a copycat, and it turns out it was the leader of the task force who did it. You know, he had the same vest and the same bullet he used. So honestly, after that, like, they want to kill him. Like, the Punisher of course wants to kill him, but Matt is like, no, we need him. And then a freaking grenade gets thrown in, and Matt's apartment gets blown to smithereens alongside the Punisher copycat, you know? So after this scene, we get to see who that somebody was, and that somebody who asked the Punisher to go help Matt was Karen Page. We finally get to see her after literally like the entire season. We saw her in episode 1, and that's it. Up until like episode 9, we did not see her once. And of course, it was Born Again, you know? She really didn't play a role, but it was nice to see her back. And there's this hilarious moment, like when she's like, okay guys, get in, and Matt just calls shotgun, and he's like, I hate you. It's so funny, man. Like, I just love the chemistry between these two actors and these two characters. But yeah, this is not the end of like all the crazy things that happen. But yeah, like then we go back to basically the Punisher's hideout, where he offers Matt and Karen coffee. They both decline. But honestly, I thought that was like the role that the Punisher was gonna play, but thank God it wasn't. And we get this like solo, like 1v like 20 guys. Like, the Punisher in true Punisher fashion goes and like tries to kill all of his like copycats, because we all know how Frank Castle feels about like copycats. He doesn't like them, so he like actually goes to like one of their bases and tries to kill them all, and he gets through several of them. Like, he shows them no mercy and like kills all of them. Everybody who died in that scene died in such a brutal way, like getting shot in the face, getting their fucking like face ripped off. Like, it was very, very crazy and very violent, you know? And you don't think of this when you think of Disney Plus projects. You do not think of any of this happening in a Disney Plus project. But I'm glad they didn't tone it down at all, and they did it like true Daredevil fashion, really. So that's really where we kind of are slowing down with major things that happen. But there's this one last major, very crazy thing. Like, not with really story. Like with story, it's kind of average, but like the way it happens, bro, we get the death of Commissioner Gallo, but he doesn't just like die, like have a heart attack or get shot. No, freaking Wilson Fisk is like, yo, I've had enough of your ass. And he grabs his fucking face and like pops it like a grape, like he's squeezing it, and you could see like the blood and the red face on Commissioner Gallo, and then his face like explodes, and like his jaw is, and his like top half of his face and his jaw is like separated left from right, and it's such a gory scene. Like you definitely don't think Marvel or Disney would actually ever do that, and the fact that they did really shows that they're willing to go above and beyond with this show, and I'm all for it, man. It was a crazy thing to see on screen. But yeah, that was really where major things started to end. But of course, Wilson Fisk is now like Mayor Kingpin, basically. Like he is trying to take over the town, get rid of all vigilantes. He even kidnaps like a bunch of people and like puts them in the same basement that like he held the person that Vanessa cheated on him with. So of course one of them is the Punisher, but not to fear, there is a post-credit scene at the end of episode 9. Like it ends with basically Daredevil in suit talking with a bunch of like people, like mainly people, but you definitely do see a few officers, and this is all at Josie's bar. Like that was a good little ending scene. It was really awesome, and I cannot wait to see where they take this story in season 2. But as for the Punisher, like he's caged, right? Like this is the post-credit scene, like, and of course like he's basically an idol, the Punisher, to the people. Like they're all wearing task force vests, so they're kind of like, oh, it's an honor to meet you, I want to work with you. So when he's like, oh, nice to meet you, the guy willingly shakes his hand, like, you're dealing with Frank Castle, the Punisher, why would you even go near him? But yeah, he goes near him, he shakes his hand, but of course, true Punisher fashion, he brings him in, like breaks his arm and kills him, and like takes the key and lets himself out. And that's like the very end of the episode. There's not another second or scene after that, you know. It just ends with like you hearing the door open, but you could assume he let everybody else out as well, and the Punisher will be loose and alive for season 2, ready for some payback. And I'm just so excited for season 2. You know, it's gonna be a great one, and this was a really good season overall. You know, it had its ups and downs, positives and negatives, fantastic moments, terrible moments. It had a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, you know, but this was a very, very good season. And this is like a big maybe. This is a very big maybe on this one. I might be doing like a video essay talking about like what I thought about the season just in general, but I don't know. That's like a what if. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe. Like if I'm bored one day and I want to post a video, maybe that will be the video, but I don't know for sure. But that has been my episode 8 and 9 review for Daredevil Born Again. Sorry it was late, you know, very, very late, but I don't know what got into me, you know, but yeah, at least I reviewed it. Better late than never. So if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys on the next video.